Jouffre upholstery has always been on the cutting edge of the industry. Founded in France in 1987, they soon expanded to the US and have been known as one of the most impeccable upholstery and furniture companies around. But their commitment to sustainability sets them apart from other high performers in the industry. At the urging of their teams, Charles and Romain Jouffre started reinventing the way they produce, moving to sustainable solutions such as water-based glue, FSC-certified wood, and recyclable foams. Let's talk with them further about their circular initiatives and see where they see this trend moving in the future. Bonjour, Charles and Romain. Welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
Charles, please introduce yourself and your company.
Donc Charles Jouffre, je suis tapissier depuis 44 ans. J'ai découvert ce métier très jeune et décidé d'apprendre ce métier lorsque j'avais 16 ans. J'ai eu un parcours assez traditionnel au départ via différents artisans en Tour de France. Et j'ai eu une opportunité assez extraordinaire quand j'avais 22 ans, donc très jeune, pour rentrer dans une grosse société de décoration qui m'a permis de découvrir une autre facette de ce métier, plutôt des chantiers très haut de gamme à l'international. Et donc en 87, 5 ans ensuite, j'ai pris la décision de créer ma propre structure et de m'installer donc à mon compte avec cette volonté de m'adresser plutôt aux architectes d'intérieur et designers pour leur proposer nos services.
And Romain, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Romain. I'm the son of Charles. I'm 33 years old and I was born in Lyon, where my dad created the company in 1987. I live in New York since 6 years now, where I am the general manager of Jouffre USA, a workroom that does exactly the same kind of work that our colleagues in Lyon, and mainly for residential projects on very high-end upholstery, wall upholstery and window treatments.
What inspired you to get into the upholstery industry?
Au départ, vraiment une passion pour ce métier, lorsque j'étais tout jeune, d'aller tout simplement avec ma mère dans un petit atelier de l'un de ses amis et de découvrir ces ambiances, ces nombreux étoffes qui étaient présentes dans cet atelier, les odeurs, voilà, les différentes harmonies qui étaient créées à travers ces différentes étoffes. Et puis petit à petit, découvrir un autre univers qui était vraiment la décoration haut de gamme, avec des projets toujours plus spectaculaires et donc de rentrer dans des demeures qui étaient très atypiques, avec des décors extrêmement sophistiqués et qui faisaient justement appel à des savoir-faire dans les différents métiers d'art, de la menuiserie, de la peinture, du bronze, etc. Et donc de me dire que ce métier qui était notre métier de tapissier, en fait, s'inscrivait merveilleusement dans la réalisation de ces décors tous plus somptueux les uns que les autres.
And how has it evolved?
Elle a tout d'abord été une vraie motivation d'apprendre ce métier traditionnellement, puis tout d'un coup de découvrir cet univers qui était nouveau, donc presque une nouvelle passion, et puis petit à petit l'animation de toute une équipe, la rencontre de clients exceptionnels qui sont toujours à la demande de réalisations toujours plus pointues, toujours plus recherchées, et donc finalement une motivation qui est à la fois de servir ses clients d'exception et à la fois d'animer une équipe au service de ses clients, et donc d'arriver finalement à entraîner tout ce petit monde vers ce qu'on pourrait appeler des réalisations exceptionnelles.
As a French luxury company, how was the experience of branching out to the US market?
We initially created the company in 2001. For a long time, the fabrication was still happening completely in France, 100% in Lyon, and we were exporting to the US. So It was, of course, not our main market. It was an important market for us. But when I moved to the US in 2014, my dad, Charles, had done all the amazing work of getting in touch with designers in the US, some of the most famous ones, some of the most talented ones. So when I moved here with my wife back in 2014, he introduced me to all those fantastic designers at that time, Frank De Biasi, Robert Couturier, and many more. They were extremely excited to know that we were opening a real workroom in the US to fabricate the projects from the US with American artisans and an American team. We went from a team of 4 people, 2 seamstresses, 1 installer and myself, to a team of 30 people 6 years later, and 100% of our American projects are now being manufactured from our Long Island City workroom where I sit right now.
Can you tell me more about your company's commitment to sustainability?
Sustainability, of course, is very important to us. We've always been trying to implement improvements in the workroom, both in France and in the US, but without having really a team dedicated to that until maybe 4 or 5 years ago when we were pushed by our team internally. More and more, the younger generation, it's so important to them. They've been pushing us, and some of them were raising their hands basically and saying, we are willing to take on that challenge and maybe be the leaders on that challenge. And that's how we really started going one step further when it comes to sustainability. We transitioned completely to 100% water glue instead of a neoprene glue, which we are not using any longer, both in France and in the US. Of course, we started recycling, both in France and in the US as well, recycling glass, metal, plastic on one side, paper and cardboard on the other side. We are also recycling foam. So we have, of course, foam scraps when we fabricate upholstery furniture. So we give them back to the people who are providing us with this foam, and they are turning it into ribbon foam, for instance, which can then be reused for other types of product, including our sofa. We are extremely aware of where we want to go, and we have a clear plan, and we're going to go there step by step. To support our initiatives in terms of sustainability, we joined the Sustainable Furnishing Council about a year and a half ago, I believe. We, I think, needed some help also to find new suppliers, new materials that would enable us to produce a more sustainable piece of furniture and window treatments.
For your upholstery, what materials do you use and where are they sourced?
When you are doing a window treatment, a decor, for instance, the main materials are fabric, which we are sourcing basically all over the world. There are fabric houses everywhere. America has some fantastic textile designers, but also France and Italy have a very long history in weaving fabrics. Lyon was actually very famous about 100 years ago for the silk industry and weaving of the silk. When it comes to upholstery, of course, there is much more material involved. The first material is wood. We are working with Lenoble, a company located here in Long Island City. They are FSC-certified, which is the Forest Stewardship Council. It's a way for us to be sure that the wood we are using to build our frame comes from sustainable suppliers, and it's very important to us. Then on top of the sofa, of course, you've got all sorts of material. As of now, we are still using a lot of synthetic material, just like foam and dacron. The project for us in the future is to go to more natural fibers, horsehair, organic wool, and cotton. We use, of course, at Jouffre, a lot of down and feather, which is also coming from sustainable companies. I think that's mainly it. And then, of course, the fabric, which, just like for the window treatments, come from all over the world. We work in the very high-end industry, so most of the fabric that clients are sending our way are natural fibers. We use a lot of silk, cotton, and wool, and rarely work with synthetic material. I think that nowadays more and more people are extremely careful about that, and they are always asking also the fabric house to target them towards more natural fibers when it comes to fabric.
Let's talk about finishing process. What sustainable options do you use for your finishes, for indoor air quality and for human health?
One of the most important changes we've made, and which we started actually about 10 years ago in France, was transitioning from neoprene glue to water-based glue. Charles started with his team in Lyon about 10 years ago, but it was a very long process to first convince our upholsterer that it was the right way to go, even though of course the neoprene has some advantages over the water glue base. It goes a little bit faster, it's a little bit easier to work with, but that was really our deep feeling that we needed to transition. When I came to the US 6 years ago, our main suppliers was not even selling us water glue. It was not part of his catalog. But one day we went to see him and we realized that himself was working with water-based glue in his facility. And we asked him, wouldn't you be able to sell that glue to us? And he said, no, that's not part of my catalog, but you feel free to be in touch with my supplier. And that's when we transitioned in the US, because our workroom manager at that time was really concerned about environment. She really wanted us to go towards more sustainability in the workplace. And then we explained our colleagues in Lyon how well it was working and how the upholsterers here in New York were able to change their habits and the way they were working in order to use only the water-based glue. And so, of course, that's the interest of having a workroom both in the US and in France, is that then we motivated our colleagues in France who are now also working only with water-based glue. In terms of finishing, we also have, of course, the finishes of the wood for the base, the legs of the sofa. We are working with finishers that are 1 to 2 person small companies. They don't really work with spray booths, etc. They work at a much lower scale, mainly with water-based products. So once again here, I think we are on the right path to implement more sustainability in the way we fabricate furniture.
What should consumers look for when shopping for eco-friendly upholstery?
When they are ordering custom-made pieces, just like we are fabricating, they can have a strong impact on the way we produce. Because, of course, if our clients are coming to us demanding sustainability and materials, we have to adapt and we have to change the way we work. So I would say the advice is don't hesitate to push your upholsterers towards innovative materials and sustainable materials.
Je pense vraiment qu'aujourd'hui, il y a une réelle volonté de la part de nos clients de venir à des produits durables, à des produits qui peuvent se recycler, une vraie volonté de voir aussi un vrai travail de qualité, d'artisans d'art qui vont être respectueux eux-mêmes de l'environnement. Et donc aujourd'hui, je pense qu'il y a véritablement un virage qui se prend. Et tout comme aux États-Unis, on voit bien que lorsque nous nous adressons à nos clients, il y a un intérêt. Il y a un intérêt, peut-être même jusqu'à aller payer un peu plus cher s'il le faut, mais en étant un peu rassurés finalement qu'ils vont pouvoir bénéficier d'un produit dont ils pourront eux-mêmes être fiers. Et je pense que ça nous pousse aussi, nous, à nous remettre en question, à nous dire qu'il faut aussi que nous avancions sur ces sujets-là. Et donc aujourd'hui, ce que je pourrais dire, c'est qu'il y a vraiment une vraie dynamique, bien sûr, au niveau de nos ateliers à New York, mais aussi de nos ateliers à Lyon, où finalement nos collaborateurs ont finalement réussi à prendre pour eux-mêmes ce challenge et donc une réelle volonté d'avancer pour pouvoir arriver à réaliser in fine des produits dont finalement nous soyons fiers nous-mêmes, mais dont nos propres clients seront fiers eux-mêmes.
Beyond sustainability, let's talk about circularity. What's the Jouffre approach to waste management and designing waste out of your processes?
We are, of course, trying to see what are the ways that we have in our workrooms. Since we are in the custom bespoke business, we don't have that much waste because we always order for specific projects. So we don't really stock a lot of inventory. The wood can be easily recycled. Scrap can be reused for some other smaller product that we are working on. The foam can also be recycled and sent back to our foam suppliers who can turn it into another material which can then be reused by upholstery company like us, but also so many different other craft and industries. But of course, we need to go further. It would be very interesting for us at some point to try to see how we could when manufacturing a new sofa, for instance, maybe upcycle an old sofa that the client would be basically exchanging. But we are not there yet. Our main goal is to reduce our waste, reduce our energy consumption, and try to see how we can intelligently recycle the waste that we have or send them back to people who can upcycle those wastes.
What other circular practices are you hoping to adopt in the future?
Something that we really would like to implement in the future would be getting rid completely of the foam. I mean, foam is important to us because it brings a fantastic level of comfort to our client. But of course, it's a synthetic material. We are right now working on fabricating furniture that are completely made with natural materials. And that's something that we are able to do, of course, for one particular collection right now with one particular client, which is Maison Jean Royer. The goal is to see how we can use those materials on a regular basis in the future for 100% of our production. So it's a challenge. We're not there yet, but the idea is really our target is like within 10 years, we will almost not be using foam anymore.
What is a circular challenge you are facing in your business?
On a la possibilité aujourd'hui de se remettre radicalement en question sur nos métiers, les métiers d'art dans leur globalité d'ailleurs, parce qu'aujourd'hui, ces métiers permettent de réaliser des produits qui sont réellement durables. C'est-à-dire que c'est des produits de grande qualité qui permettent finalement à nos clients de pouvoir espérer les conserver pendant une génération, 2 générations, voire même davantage, et de pouvoir du coup revenir dessus pour les restaurer, les remettre en valeur. Mais la base même est conservée. À une époque finalement où on est un peu à du tout jetable, pendant des décennies on nous a expliqué qu'on achetait pour pouvoir jeter et changer. Je pense que justement la notion de métier d'art, c'est aussi de faire des produits qui vont durer dans le temps.
What are some applications at Jouffre Upholstery that you feel most proud of?
What I feel most proud of is to see that my team is willing to change its habit, its technique, adapt its skills to be able to build furniture that will be more sustainable in the future. It's not a project that you can carry on by yourself. You need the support of a team. You need your team to believe in what you are doing. You need your team to actually push you even further. And that's what's happening right now with our team in both France and in the US. Of course, the team was a little scared at the beginning to completely reinvent the way we are working with upholstery, but they actually turned that challenge into a great success. And seeing that my team is willing and ready for a change is what's making me the most proud.
What trends do you foresee in the industry?
As we move into the future, I think people are going to be much more careful about the way they purchase furniture. I think clients are going to be inquiring how it's being built. And I think they'll have the ambition to keep their furniture for a much longer time. So there will be probably sourcing furniture more locally. They'll be conscious about where it's coming from and what is it made of.
Charles, what do you foresee the Jouffre legacy to be?
Ce qui est le plus important pour moi déjà, c'est que cette entreprise elle soit pérenne. C'était vraiment une grande volonté de ma part et ces dernières années, j'ai beaucoup travaillé là-dessus et j'ai eu une chance inouïe que Romain me rejoigne et que l'on s'entende bien, qu'on partage les mêmes valeurs, les mêmes ambitions également de me rendre compte que finalement, ce que j'avais réussi à construire jusqu'à aujourd'hui pouvait perdurer dans le temps. Et de me dire que, voilà, à la fois cette démarche que j'ai eue de faire grandir ce métier pouvait être encore d'actualité, voire même perdurer et même continuer d'avancer, voir aussi que finalement tous les collaborateurs qui aujourd'hui m'entourent encore allaient pouvoir continuer à exister eux-mêmes au sein de cette entreprise, mais aussi de ce métier qui m'est cher. Et donc de me dire que finalement ce savoir-faire qui est le nôtre va continuer à perdurer dans le temps. Mon vœu le plus cher, c'est de me dire que cette société va continuer à grandir, mais tranquillement. C'est-à-dire qu'on va continuer à assurer ce qui est déjà bâti et de continuer à se remettre en question tous les jours pour continuer à grandir, notamment sur tous ces enjeux sociétaux.
Romain, do you have anything to add?
What I wish the legacy of the company could be is really the fact that we've always been at the edge of using new techniques and materials. Charles was one of the first upholsterers to really transition into foam for high-end upholstery about 30 years ago, because he had the conviction that that was the right path for making modern, comfortable furnitures. And now we want to be the first one to transition into innovative materials that will allow us to fabricate more sustainable furniture. That's what I want people to remember, is that we were constantly challenging the status quo, trying to reinvent almost yearly the way we see our craft, the way we think about our craft, and the way we just practice that craft and get better and better.
Charles and Romain, thank you for this insightful conversation.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure also for us.
Thank you very much, Laurence. It was a pleasure as well. And thank you very much for inviting us.
Très belle conversation. J'ai vraiment aimé en apprendre plus sur Jouffre et ses pratiques durables dans le domaine de la tapisserie. À bientôt. There's something so exciting about the Jouffre story. Knowing that these impactful changes came about because concerned employees felt compelled and comfortable enough to push their management toward more sustainable solutions is wonderful. And all the more wonderful that Charles and Romain have made it part of their personal missions as well. Moving to FSC-certified wood, sustainable down, water-based glues and finishes, working in small batch, bespoke production, recycling and upcycling whenever possible, Jouffre continues to be at the forefront of circularity in the upholstery industry.